Hello, everyone. My name is Neeraj Mathur. I'm the founder and CEO of Savings Oak, and I am delighted to bring to all of us Sarbjeet Johal, an economist, a technologist, and an entrepreneurial mind to talk about one of my favorite topics, retirement. And what I wanted to do today was to get a perspective, not only just from a financial advisor or somebody who's a 401k a portfolio manager or a financier by a trade, but bringing live a perspective into retirement from someone who's from within the industry. So, without further ado, Sarbjeet, welcome to the Right Way to HSA and episodes that we've been running on around retirement. Can you open with tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can go from there.
Hi, Neeraj. I'm happy to be here with you and talk about retirement planning. A little bit I know. So I'm like any other average person. My knowledge around that, but I can shed some light. So, Sarbjeet Johal, I've been in tech for the last 26, 27 years, and I've been living in Bay Area since then. I'm originally born and raised from Punjab, India, so a mixture of two cultures.
Awesome. And you do a lot of, what I've always enjoyed speaking with you, Sarbjeet, is you have this very amazing ability to bring your economist background into a lot of technology things. So tell us about your journey a little bit, how you ended up in tech from being an economist to now becoming a cloud strategist and a generic technology strategist, helping small, mid-sized businesses as well as large enterprises.
Yeah, actually, Neeraj, I just fell into tech. Actually, I was pursuing my career in economics. First, I wanted to do MSc in mathematics, but at the last minute, I changed my major in my postgrad to economics, and boy, I made the right decision, right? So MSc math, you know what they can do. You become CPA and or you become a professor, and you know, or a few other venues. But economics is a very generic degree, and somebody told me, some of my guides and mentors, if you will. We didn't call them that back in India. It's just somebody tells you something and you listen, and you sort of synthesize that information. So yeah, I picked economics for my master's, and I wanted to pursue PhD. And my teacher in India, that everybody's like after degrees. It used to be, still to a certain extent, but they used to be. They say, my professor said that if my to be guide for PhD, he said, if you improve your degree, because I had less marks in second year of masters, I had econometrics. I loved that part and thing actually, but anyways, I focused on that more and defocused on some of the off topics. Long story short, he said improve your degree. That means retake exams, and then during that period, that 1 year, I took evening classes in, it's called PGDCA, postgraduate diploma in computer applications, and in the evenings at the same college. It was just starting at that point. Khalsa College, Jalandhar, right in Punjab. So I fell in love with that thing. It's, one thing after another. Just I moved in. Uh, I started working with a think tank in Chandigarh doing data analysis, and I was their data center. They used to call me computer guy. We had multiple machines. Used to call me computer guy, lab, computer lab for the think tank. So um, data analysis and all that stuff, Fortran, D-based languages. And then when I came here in '94, I still had the urge to finish my PhD in economics, and I was happy that I was close to some Nobel Prize winner economists. I can visit them and work with them. Um, but I just fell into tech and never looked back. Tech was just booming. The internet was just getting born in '94, '95, and when I came here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, taking that journey from being an economist, getting into tech, when did you kind of start thinking about retirement? Look, I'll be the first one to tell you, not a lot of us start thinking about retirement, especially at early ages, although we should all be. But what was your kind of like a moment of starting to think about retirement or doing anything around planning?
Yeah, I think that we don't want to think about. Yeah, just yesterday somebody tweeted about the predictions for 2035. I said, we don't think, like, normal average person don't, we don't think more than 2 years ahead, right? So normally 2 years. If it's more than, definitely 5 years, we say, okay, hold on, we'll see when we get there, right? So, but we are forced to, but hold on, but think tanks and or policymakers think about in decades terms, like in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and Chinese think in 100 years, right? We know that. Right. In India we have 5 year plans, being economics buff, I know those things. um, and I think we are forced to think a little bit by our companies when we join full time a decent company which gives you 401k. And then you say, what is this 401k? If you have never encountered this thing, call it retirement. And then they explain it to you like one time, and they think you get it, right? But we don't. So they tell you this is the money you can take later, and it won't be taxed when it's growing, but it will be taxed when you take it out at a lower rate because you will have less income back in the future. And they tell you about the inflation and all that being studied, being, you know, in economics and all that. So I understood the inflation and the value of money now versus value of money then, how much you need, kind of stuff, right? But to be honest with you, still, it's so hard to keep track of, so hard to think about, so hard to manage. On top of that, there are other. Um, can I keep going a little
Yeah, sure. No, I'm curious to learn more.
bit? Listeners, if you're getting bored, just tell us in the comments or something. So I think the the hard part is also, like, if you are living in a high price housing market like Bay Area or New York, many people think that house is your retirement. Like the equity you're building in the house is part of your retirement. In a way, it is. I think you may disagree with me, and many experts may disagree with me. By the way, those so-called experts don't talk about these things. Because I pay high mortgage, my you know that, and our viewers know that too. A person who's living in the Bay Area, their annual property tax is more than the total mortgage and property tax somebody living in the middle of America. So we pour a lot more money into the house, right? And then we think that's our retirement, and we will move to a cheaper area once we retire. Some of us do, and some of us don't. Um, and things had worked so far in the last 40, 50 years or so here, but we don't know where we'll land as Silicon Valley and or New York area and or any expensive area. So that's a factor actually which plays in my mind as well, how much I want to put in 401k and all that stuff. But just a little bit of 401ks, like when you change jobs, that's a very big pain point. Your 401k stays there, and an average person changes job, I think, every 4 or 5 years, especially in tech. Maybe it's less. Uh, so you end up with like many 401ks. I consolidated some 401ks, like, but 15, 20 years back, and then accumulated three, four more. So they're still sitting there. And some of the, I don't know what's happening. And to be honest with you, my wife doesn't even know what the account numbers are. I hope she's beneficiary on some of those or all of those. I need to clean that up. So you can tell, like, a person who knows about these things to a certain extent is not even able to take care of it. And and I think it's the priority, we don't give it priority. That's the problem. I was reading a billboard coming last night from a karaoke after this Google cloud event. I went to karaoke last night. It said, if you can plan a wedding You can plan. I, you can plan. I couldn't read the last thing, And I said, okay, okay. I will use this for today's talk with you because it was pre-planned, right? So if you can plan a wedding, you should be able to plan your retirement. Um, it's not harder than that, but it has to be priority. But the problem is, the wedding happens once if it's yours, hopefully. But your your 401k, you have to upkeep that. That upkeep is the hard part. Like when you move funds to what kind of category, you can get crushed if you are in the downturn economy and then you're about to retire. So our experts do a lousy job of telling people what to do.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think you talked about two couple things that are very important. First, you mentioned that on the retirement side, employers sponsored plans are there, but they probably talk to you maybe once at the time of most employers end up on the side of providing that information once at the start of your job and then during the annual enrollment. And then many try to actually engage people, but retirement isn't really that big a priority for most folks. From your standpoint, as you talk to a lot of people at different segments and how they're thinking about things, not just from a uh, their employment perspective, but also from a retirement standpoint, what could employers do? What could people do to have a little more engagement and understanding or desire to learn more about how retirement uh, planning can be done and what should they be doing on a proactive basis, because retirement is going to hit us all. It's just a matter of time. So any thoughts on that? What could employers do to engage their employees more and talk about retirement?
Um, there are different kind of programs, annual. Sometimes some companies have like quarterly. Some companies do it twice a year, where there's an employee review. It happens, right? And you have goals, and you review that with your manager, right? I think we should make the 401k, um, because it's employee welfare thing, right? So like, I think good companies think about their employees' welfare, or they're their well wishers. Like they want to make sure that they grow, right, and they stay healthy. They stay fit. And actually, by the way, many companies do that. They want you to stay physically fit and mentally fit, but nobody thinks about you being financially fit, right? Especially when you're not with them. I think it can go a long way, actually. It's my invitation to the CEOs and boards to do that. I never actually thought about that. So that's a good recommendation, I think.
Yeah.
Naturally came from me.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good if annually at least we can review, like, hey, are you participating properly in your 401k? Are you taking full advantage of the programs put forth by the our central government, or the state government, or these institutions that they work for us, right? Government, if you will, the policies. So are you taking advantage of those policies? And many times we end up wasting money because we didn't even know that there's a program like that,
Yeah.
right? So
Well, that's a great thank you for that layup, because that's a great question around health savings accounts, HSAs. Um, HSAs have been around for since 2003, four. People are still not aware. When did you first learn about health savings accounts, and what was your experience with them?
yeah, HSC and FSA are brother and sister, but they are totally different personalities, right? So if you want to talk about HSA, you should talk about FSA first, because that confuses the heck out of people. They think that HSA is just like FSA. Um, you can correct me if I'm wrong. FSA is the family saving account or something.
Flexible spending accounts.
Flexible spending account.
Yeah.
Okay, dang it,
Yeah.
I don't even know. I've used it so many times, because when your kids are growing up, you need daycare, and you can put aside certain amount of money, it will not be taxed, and you can give it to the daycare or the babysitter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a great program. You save quite a bit of money.
Yeah, there's also a dedicated program for that. Just for the sake of our viewers, there is a dependent care program that allows you to actually put money away for childcare specifically as well. Just wanted to make sure people don't. This is the
Oh yeah,
ultimate example of confusions around some of these programs.
yeah.
Sorry.
I think that program has two. At least I know, as what I know of, the two sort of segments, main ones. I mean, there might be third or fourth as well. So one is to whatever money you spend on your, I think, deductible at hospitals and doctor
Mhm.
visits. I think you can
You-
take money from that. The other one is, which everybody, even the young people, need once they have kids, is the daycare and taking care of your
Yep.
loved ones, right? That part. So that actually, if that program is that if you don't use those funds, you lose it by a certain time. I think normally March 31st next year. If you don't submit those things and you lose it, it's very. I think that should not be there. It should carry over or something like that. And then after some time, government can take our money away if they want to, but but they shouldn't do that every year. So that's a deficiency in that program. But HSA, I got introduced to HSA when I was working at Rackspace, but 12, 13 years back. And because I got introduced to it because I wanted to change insurance. I wanted to go from HMO to PPO. HMO is like Walmart of like I call them the Walmart of healthcare. So everything is in one place, and they make money if you don't go there, kind of thing. That's their model, right? But the PPO is like they want you to come in even if they don't need to. You don't need to. They will, because that's how they make money, right? So they're totally reverse business models. These doctor guys do that, and simply speaking, um, so I wanted to get PPO because I was sick of Walmart of healthcare problem, right? So then I said, okay, well, how can I save some money? It's more expensive. It's quite a bit expensive. And they said, okay, for these kind of plans, high deductible, you can have this healthcare saving account where you can set aside some money, and you can spend that for your, deductibles you pay and all that stuff. I did that, and actually, I loved it, to be honest with you, because good thing about that is it stays with you even if you leave the employer. It goes to the next year, next year, next year, but even if you leave the employer, it stays with you. I think it's a great plan, and a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah, yeah. Just to kind of the health savings accounts, money, the dollars that sit in there, whether these are your contributions or these are contributions coming to you from your employer, are yours. They are portable. So you talk about the fundamental difference. The way we say it is like it's flexible spending versus health savings
Uh-huh.
belongs to you in the long run. And did you know at that time, Sarbjeet, that the money that you have in health savings accounts can be invested? Did you ever invest that dollar amount into? Did you have that capability to be able to invest those dollars?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't know that, um, and I didn't know that till very recent. And to be honest with you, that money was not for me because I left that company just after some time, and
Mhm.
I went to Oracle, and then I had HSA there as well because I was addicted to that kind of thing, right? Means like I liked it.
Yeah,
So, um, but the money was not enough where I needed to pursue that. Number one. Number two, I didn't even know that. Uh, and number three, I have learned a lesson the hard way. I invested some money from a 401k into some land in this Lancaster near LA and LA County. This is land in LA County. It will be like, 50 times, blah, blah. Somebody sold that to me. I still hold on to those 10 acres. Crazy stuff. Um, and I was kind of burned with that thing. I was like, if it's 401k, let it be in the self-managed. But the problem with the FSA is that it's stagnant money. It just stays. They don't invest it anywhere as well.
Yeah, so that's the fundamental difference. Let's again, for clarity for our viewers, is FSA you cannot, flexible spending account, you cannot invest those dollars. That's the dollars you use it or lose it. Health savings account allows you to have the ability to invest those dollars. So you can put it in the market, have it work in, and become a long-term strategy alongside your 401k for being able for your retirement. You also have another piggy bank that continues to grow over time to be able to pay for your healthcare expenses, not just in retirement. If something does, you do need a time to pay for some of the expenses before retirement, you can leverage that money. Although the best practice suggests that if you can afford to pay for it out of pocket, then you leave your invested dollars there. Yeah, great point. Changing tax, a little bit of the track here. Let's kind of see, when you think about the last, say, what I know, there's been a lot of conversation about the Great Resignation, and we look at it as a time also of great reset, particularly in terms of the benefits and how employers and employees need to align with each other. What are your thoughts on that? How could this time be leveraged by the employers to re-engage with the employees from a benefits perspective? One, to educate, to your point of didn't know about investments, didn't understand all the benefits and everything, and particularly offering benefits that might be beneficial and more adopted and utilized by employees than what we've seen in the past. Any guidance to employers there?
Employers or
Yeah, any
employees?
guidance to employers to re-engage and offer better benefits to employees?
Oh yeah, yeah, true, true. Yeah, actually, the Great Resignation and also the gig economy, those two I think are relevant sort of topics in this case. The When you're young, you don't care. Again, going back to the same, so like we don't plan ahead. Once you get starting or getting started old, then you say, oh my God, we need this kind of lifestyle and this much money to live, and in this area or that area. And then you also understand that inflation is there, or even if it's 2% a year. Right now we are having 8, 9, but even if you have 2 to 3% a year, it's a lot. Actually, it just accumulates, right? So I think the l- the lure of working for yourself in not having the retirement plan is there, right? But at the same time, a lot of people become victim of their own sort of like short-termism. I think not only the individuals, even companies do that. Like short-termism is not a good thing. Um, so I think companies can entice their people who are trying to leave or leaving by telling them about the benefits they're providing and how much money actually they give you on top of the salary. Like you get you some of them half, I think about half of the money which goes to social security is paid by the employers, right? That's number one. Then after that, the healthcare benefits that, depending upon which company you join, like big percentage is paid by them. And also these kind of plans, they you can access HSA, FSA through employment. um, so I think they need to highlight those plans. And I think that it's HR departments of the companies which have just been stagnant in their approach to how to engage with employees, to be honest with you. Like very old style thinking. One time when they hire you, they tell you all about the programs that your company, their company has, and all that stuff. Or after that, they're just nothing. It's like crickets, right? So there's another dogma, or there's drawback, or the negative thing about this whole financial planning thing is that there are a lot of agents out there which are not well trained, and or they have not good intentions, and some people get burned by them, and then they tell the stories to others like, hey, don't do this, just it's not worth it, blah blah blah. So these stories scare people, I think.
Yeah.
I think that basically we need to be educated more on the retirement.
Yeah. And
It-
I think you're raising some very good points. If I was to summarize, right? I mean, I do want to call out the fact that the HR departments, a lot of benefits managers are really trying very hard. We interact with a lot of those people day in and day out, and they are doing everything they can to actually push the needle about education. Some of this is about on the employee side or the participant side, to be willing to listen in, pay attention to it, because it is ultimately their retirement. Employers can only do so much from a macro level. I do hear the point from your perspective on advisors, and even advisors are also trying to push that message out. We are again speak with such folks day in and day out, and there is an effort to educate. That's, I think, the fundamental thing is about education, having good access to education, and then also the willingness to learn something new on that. So cool. One last kind of bit on this before we go into Andy has a fantastic question that I'll ask you in the end. When you think of the younger you from 10, 15, 20 years ago, and what advice would you give that younger you of 20 years ago about retirement, that somebody who's 20, 25 years old today, when listening to this conversation, could use as a pointer?
yeah, even beside using the right shampoo.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. No, seriously, on the financial side, I think the power of compounding, that the savings you start doing from early on, they add up, right? You start investing, and 401k is investing actually. Basically, it's a proxy for investments and retirement both. You got to keep that in mind. Actually, it's not only retirement. I mean, by the way, that's how we sell it, but it's investments and retirement. So invest early. If you can do invest more than 401k, do more than that. Markets, if you believe in the market economy, which I do personally, markets reward you because of inflation, because of the growth, um, and that's the number one advice I will give you my younger self. And yeah, and talk to, and also another advice I always gave and always actually knew this personally myself growing up as well, like talk to the elders who have been through life. They are 20, 30 years ahead of you, the mentors, or whatever you could call them, guides. They can tell you the mistakes they have made so you don't make those. They have been on those paths where you will be traveling through, so they can tell you where there's a ditch, or there's a mm, blockage in on the paths, and how you overcome those things. And financial, they can tell you what the financial planning too. Actually, just a side story, like it's an interesting one. Like we went public during dot-com days, and we made millions of dollars. Every employee made millions of dollars. I was part of that IPO, and I lost most of it in other tech stocks. I still got some good chunk out, but if I had some guidance from somebody older than me, they will tell me some things to do. And now I do that. And now I tell others, give my 2 cents. Of course, you can give financial advice to some people and say, then you'll say, "Oh, you told me, and I lost money," or "You told me," and like, who are you to tell me? But I just softly you guide them, like, this is how it works. Some people lost homes after the dot-com bust because they were very greedy. Actually, my policy always was, because maybe knowing economics or whatever, that's like sell, maybe layman's, like, sell half, keep half. If the stock goes up, you're happy. If stock goes down, you're happy. So I'm
That's
talking
a
about
it's
those like windfalls. Once you get a windfall, get rid of half of it. So seriously, if it goes up, you're happy because you have half, right? If it goes down, you're happy because you sold half, right? So
that's a
take some
great
out.
point. No, that's awesome. Well, this has been fun. Thank you so much for engaging. But before I go, I've got a last question for you. Comes from Andy, and he wants to know, what songs did you all sing last night at the karaoke.
Who said who
This
is
is our
asking?
friend. This is our friend Andy Wong, who wants to know what
Oh,
karaoke songs did you sing last night?
that's Eric Clapton's "You Look Beautiful Tonight." Actually, I've
Nice.
never done karaoke, but yesterday I was able to, and because people were very, I mean, of course, people are having fun and they're always supportive. They're singing along. It was fun. Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome. Great. Sarbjeet, thank you so much for taking the time to kind of share your perspective around retirement from a technologist perspective. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your insights. And for our viewers, we are back again every Wednesday at noon Pacific. Today, we did start a few minutes late. We had a technical challenge getting everything figured out. But we're back here noon on Wednesdays Pacific. And our attempt is to bring everyone retirement is going to hit us all, and we want to bring diverse perspectives so people can plan. All right. Well,
Thank,
on that note, thank you.
thanks, Neeraj. I appreciate you calling me as guest, and you're a good friend, and I wish you all the best with your business endeavor.
Thanks, Arjun. Have a good day.
You too.